Hi, I'm Emily Laidlaw of Your Tutoring Solutions, and today I want to show you one of the uh, tools I have on my website that's free for anyone to use. I have what I've called a fluency grid generator, and I've had this for a while, but I now have a new addition. So the original fluency grid generator, you could put in 5 words separated by commas, and it would create a grid. And the grid had a very set sequence. So every row had each of those 5 words in a different order, and every column had those same 5 words in a different order. And it would look like this. So I would put the words in, and I would use it to practice confusing words. So you know how this was one that my kids would need the difference between know and now and known and new and new and whatever. So they could have it here in every row and every column had the 5 words in a different order, and whether they're reading across or down, they could, I would put this in a slide deck, or put it in their visual drill deck, or put it someplace, and then they could. At first, they would mark what is the distinguishing feature, then they would practice reading them. And I've had many. I would use these all the time. So, anytime one of my students would have something that really stumped them, we would put it in here and practice it. For instance, I had this one. I had one like this with what and that and when and then and when. The words that are easily confused. And see, so every row has the same 5 words in a different order, and every column has the same 5 words in a different order. I don't know what that pattern's called. There's a special name for it. Anyway, like a Sudoku problem. Um, or I'd have were, where, we're, here, where, and whatever the confusing words, things that what my student was confusing, I would put it in here so they could really look to distinguish it and be able to read them. Whatever the lists were. And then I had a version with 6. This student was at a higher level, and he needed to force himself to read through every letter of the word, and something like this forced it. So that was great, and it was very useful. But I have a new feature. Let me go back on my website. So I have the one with 5 words that creates a fluency grid. I have one that's 6 words separated by commas that creates a fluency grid. Now the new one I just put in says you can put in 4 or more words. And what I did here was if you put in 4 words or 5 words or 10 words, it didn't matter. It would shuffle them, shuffle them, shuffle them to create 36 and put them in a grid. And every time you put in, it shuffled it. It was in a different order. So it didn't matter whether you have 4 or 10 or 12 or however many you might have that you might want to practice. And I'll tell you one thing why it was really helpful is, I had a math student, and I was like, okay, he just had a few multiplication facts that he just really needed to rehearse again and again and again to get in his head. But if you're learning a math fact, if you're limited to 5 or 6, you're not getting it both ways. So here, if I put it in like this, I don't know how many facts this is. This is 9 facts, I think. And I would create the grid, and I would have 8 times 6 here, but 6 times 8. So it would take that list of 9, put it in, and then shuffle it in, put it in again, shuffle it in, put it again. So it allows for much more flexibility. Plus, I call this a practice grid. So this is about practicing to automaticity. For me, it's not so much just like noticing what's different about the words. So I use this for practicing to automaticity. So I could do something like this, or let's say, I had a student just working to learn letter sounds, and he's learned a bunch. I had a student that came in that knew 5 sounds and 5 letters, no sounds. He knew 5 letters, and we needed to practice sounds and learning sounds. So he'd learn it. Now he wanted to practice to automaticity, and I would put it in here, and he got where he could go nt, s, ap, and every time those were shuffled. But and it didn't matter if I put in 6 or 5 or 4 or 8. It would take it and shuffle it and create a new practice grid. Or I have students, for instance, that just needed to practice to automaticity some. Is it going in there? Practice automaticity. Some high frequency words, irregular words, and we could put it in here and let them become automatic. So just like that. And this one, there's only 4 words, but it's shuffled. It's shuffled automatically. So this becomes my practice grid, and anyone's free to use it. And all I would do is put my words in, do a screenshot of it, and then stick it into a slide deck, stick it onto a page, stick it into a document, whatever it is we're going to use. So I hope that's helpful for you. And if you have any questions or ideas, let me know. Thanks. You can find this tool at my website, emilylaidlawtutor.com. Just look under the page for teaching resources and Fluency Grid Generator. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.